This year marks 70 years since tornado sirens were put into play in Sedgwick County.
In the beginning, they were not used to alert us of tornadoes. Chief Meteorologist Lisa Teachman joining us now, taking a look at the technology and why it's still being used today.
Some of the oldest Thunderbolt sirens in the United States were still in use across Sedgwick County up until late last year. All part of history that started shortly after World War II, but for a different purpose. Our country was a different place 70 years ago, emerging from a world war where the atomic bomb was a threat.
The Civil Defense Act of 1951 was passed by Harry Truman, and part of that Civil Defense Act mandated public shelters, public fallout shelters for the atomic bomb, as well as outdoor warning sirens that would warn the public of an atomic bomb blast.
On April 22nd, 1952, the first ever air raid siren test sounded in Wichita.
We have a Thunderbolt siren that a lot of you may be familiar with seeing, with the yellow cone that makes a lot of the noise. It winds up, it winds down.
That sound we are used to hearing during severe weather events gave mixed reactions after the first test.
The first few tests that happened in 1952 and 1953, they had citizens that were very upset about the loud noise. They had citizens that were also diving into ditches and taking cover because they had thought that a nuclear blast had happened and they were trying to protect themselves.
The art of public warning requires a lot of trust, which took time. A dozen more sirens were ordered and installed. The 1950s were an especially troubling time in Kansas due to tornadic events. Tragedies occurred in Udall, from a massive tornado in 1955 to the Ruskin Heights tornado in '57, beginning southwest of the Kansas City metro, along with the El Dorado tornado in '58. The day after that tornado struck in Butler County, sirens known to alert for an atomic bomb threat were now sounded for a potential tornado. June 11, 1958, sirens sounded at 11:05 p.m. due to a tornado warning in East Wichita. This was the first world use as a tornado siren, and the number of sirens grew through the 1960s and 70s. Today, there are 152 sirens in use, which are tested every Monday when the weather is clear across Sedgwick County.
What we have done with technology is when the National Weather Service issues a polygon, which kind of shows exactly where the storm is at and where it's moving, those sirens in that area will be the ones to sound.
It was interesting adding motherboards to 1950s mechanical equipment. A lot of the inside of these cabinets look like Frankenstein's laboratory, you know, and the fact that we can control them with a computer is pretty remarkable. Nothing really has changed with the way we communicate with sirens between the 70s and present day.
Communication, they say, is reliable, which is why it has been around so long.
The outdoor warning system is designed to warn those who are outside, who may not be around technology, to go indoors and look for that information because something is coming and they need to take action.
Who would have thought that sirens put into the ground 70 years ago would still be here? As for the remaining 4 Thunderbolts from the 1950s, they're in the process of being refurbished, one of which will be installed at a local fire station as a landmark for you to visit and share a piece of history later this year. Here for you, Chief Meteorologist Lisa Teachman, KSN News 3.